It's a horror classic. Most people know it. A bullied girl gets the powers to finally fight her bullies. After given one more chance to become normal again, she is crowned prom queen, but they make fun of her one last time by dumping pig's blood on her on stage. Enraged, she kills everyone at prom and roams the town, destroying it in the process, and then dies. Some say the story is about an eye for an eye, years of torment and humiliation. They ruin her life, and she ruins theirs in return. Yet some say that this is a criticism of Christianity, since her radical mom emotionally abuses her with biblical images and a pretty harsh view of the Bible. Or maybe it's a dark and gruesome take on teen life. That's what I've heard, and those are some ideas I had before really thinking about it. There are a lot of religious references that people tend to gloss over while reading. Carrie's mother enforces this idea of judgment onto Carrie. She tries to maintain Carrie's innocence by not telling her the basic bodily processes of adolescence and allowing Carrie to have a social life in the modern world. Carrie's mother, Margaret White, is deathly afraid of sin and wants to save her daughter from when Judgment Day strikes. But what's ironic is that Carrie is the one that brings forth this biblical Judgment Day. Here's a quote from Revelations chapter 21, verse 8. But the cowards, faithless, detestable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their share will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is their second death. I'm not saying that Carrie White is the literal embodiment of God in this story. That would be a bit of a stretch. But like God, she judges their lives. She assigns them a verdict, and that verdict is to die in a fire. It is made clear throughout the novel that no one is free from judgment, even the one who brings the town their last judgment. Chris, the one who dumped blood on Carrie at prom, has given Carrie her fate of being relentlessly bullied throughout her whole life, and Carrie's mother did not allow her to participate in many social activities. Both of these people have been killed by Carrie. Overall, this novel shows that judgment is a power that lies within us, people. Even though Christianity is referenced throughout the novel, the apocalypse isn't in the hands of God and Satan. It was in the hands of people. Even though the story is a modern tragedy, because good fails and evil prevails, it is far from the notion that King is suggesting that there is some kind of reverse karma in the real world. The antagonists in the story have more resources and more supporters than the protagonist and her supporters. So overall, the difference is not only their pursuits, but the amount of power that they have. It shows that there is no karma. There is only cause and effect. The story shows that people affect the world through power, not whether they align as good or evil or anything in between. Even if someone is inherently good, that person cannot impact the world positively if that person has no power or does no action.
This work is a paranormal story about our regular day-to-day lives. The paranormal aspect of the story is used to represent the pain and torture that Carrie White has gone through throughout her life. If she never had telekinetic powers, we would see the blood bucket as embarrassing, or even cringy, rather than something that is cruel and dreadful. Carrie's emotions throughout the story have been externalized and manifested in the form of fire and death. And to connect to my first point, the apocalypse. King's use of power and judgment throughout the story shows that we live in a cause and effect world. Characters use their power to exercise their judgment, and other characters affected by this judgment use their power to oppose their actions. The events which occurred in Carrie is not the result of a god or karma. Even though Carrie's power is supernatural, they're used to represent the effect of the negative experiences that Carrie has gone through, rather than the actions of a third party. It shows that we, and other people in our lives, are responsible for each other's fate. I definitely recommend this novel for any kind of reader. It's a short novel with appropriate pacing and characterization. King's use of language and diction keeps the reader engaged, especially the way he reveals what happened in the prom slowly throughout the novel. If you want to explore 70s pop culture and the beginning of the 80s teen movie era, this novel is for you. This read is appropriate for the teen and adult reader, and hey, you can come up with your own interpretation of the novel.